Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody today? You guys here? I'm Reverend Dr. Don Zanghi. I'll be your teacher this morning. Welcome to another Adult Lyceum program. We do this 9:30 every Sunday morning. I've been asked to introduce myself so you know my name. I've been here involved in Cassadaga for 30 years. Hard to believe sometimes. My time here, certified as a medium, spiritual healer, minister, teacher, been involved so many different ways. I've lived in camp since 1996. I live down the street with my wife Jeanette and our 3 cats. Enough for now. Just a couple of announcements, at least the ones I know for me. What do we got here? Next Sunday, which is the 18th, here at 2 o'clock, and we do a seminar called How to Do a Psychic Reading. So if that's interesting to you, we'll come in and teach you how to do a psychic reading. What else we got? May 2nd, which is a Sunday, I will be the church lecturer. Whether it's here or hopefully maybe the temple will be open by then. So either way, I'll be doing the church lecture Sunday, May 2nd. May 15th is Gala Day. Always a big event in Cassadaga. We have 4 Gala Days a year. It's been going on for as long as I can remember, and then some. We have what's called mini seminars. I'll be doing a mini seminar at 12:30 that day, called what do I call it? Introduction to Spiritual Alchemy. And then the next day, the 16th, which is a Sunday, I'm going to do a full seminar. How do I have it worded? Spiritual Alchemy. Modern Alchemy for Spiritual Growth. So those are some things that are happening. That fills my schedule for the next month and a half. The last time I spoke at Lyceum, I focused on our principles, the Declaration of Principles, and I dealt with number 7. I'm going to read that to you. We affirm that the moral responsibility of the individual, and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. This is a very important principle. It's one that caught me when I first started coming here. It's a favorite for a lot of people. And I tied that principle to a concept called karma. I did that because it's amazing the number of people that I've met who say they don't believe in karma, but they believe in number 7. It's the same thing. I spent 40 minutes trying to straighten that out, right? So I thought today we'd do something similar to it. And we're going to do with the first principle. We believe in infinite intelligence. Now, I think that's a good way to start. Of the 9, everything flows from belief in infinite intelligence. Now, this is very interesting to me because most people go, yes, okay, fine, I understand that. But over the many years I've been here, people have asked me, sometimes coming out of church, sometimes in class, sometimes just stop me on the street. What do you mean by infinite intelligence? Well, the English major in me comes out, so let's look at the words. Infinite. Absolute. Nothing outside of it. Includes everything beyond time and space. You can't have infinity plus 1. You can't have infinity times infinity. You can't have something opposing infinity. It's all part of it. Some people have trouble with the word all. It's all and everything. Now we say in Hinduism, we can relate infinity to sometimes Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva would just lay there, just being, just to be. And it took Shakti, his consort, to come over. She had to come over and kick him and say, look, you got to do something. You can't just lay here. You got to do something. And that's the intelligence. Infinite intelligence. Not just intelligence like we have in our brain, but an infinite intelligence. When we talk about natural law, that's basically what we're saying. It's God in action. Some might call it a divine plan. And that includes everything at all times, beyond time and space. The very last verse in the book of Genesis said God looked at his creation and said, it's all good. Look at that. It's good. All of it. And so we have this infinite intelligence that is our version of saying God. We believe in God. Now, why do we use infinite intelligence rather than God? I'll get to in a little bit. We got time. But infinite intelligence is one of many metaphysical terms describing the same thing. If we sat here all day long, we couldn't cover all the names that people have given to God. We could say the one that all that is, the one from whom all blessings flow, cosmic intelligence, universal mind. We could be here all day, and then some. The Hindus have something called the 1,000 Names of God. That'll keep you busy. The Jews have something called the 72 Names of God from their Kabbalah. So you get the idea that the concept of God covers a big variety of names. In fact, God doesn't have a name unless you go off to India where it's given to you and you finally find out, oh, that makes sense. I can't say it. In fact, there's a little joke, if you bear with me. We know the song In the Garden, right? We say, well, yeah, God has a name. Andy. Andy walks with me, Andy talks. That's just a little joke to get across the point that he doesn't have a name that you can say. In fact, it's said in the scripture, God's name is ineffable. You can't say it. So anything that comes from the throat and from the mind is not the true name of God. So we use substitutes. Infinite intelligence. I've described that, I think, pretty well for you. Infinity is everything, and there's an intelligence, there's a divine plan. And we're all part of it. Everything is part of it. Even things that you see, so that can be part of the divine plan. It is. So we believe in infinite intelligence. Absolutely. And there's nothing outside of it. This is where it gets crazy, where they say, God is fighting with Satan. There can't be anything other than God. But I'll describe Satan for you. So we got time. In the Jewish way of thinking, the Kabbalah is Satan. Satan is your left brain that talks you into bad things, that talks you out of good things all the time. It's your own mind that questions the divine plan. Nor can you have Antichrist. You can only have Christ. The Antichrist, there was one person in history known as the Antichrist. That was the Roman Emperor Nero, who, after the death of Jesus, for the first century or so, he was killing the Jews, persecuting them. They even made it illegal to say his name. You couldn't say Nero. Now, in the Jewish tradition, they have something called gematria. Gematria. And gematria means that for each letter of the alphabet, in the Jewish alphabet, has a numerical value too. So in order to get across Nero, they came up with gematria. Anybody want to take a guess?
666.
666, right. Now some people say 616. That's because Nero could also be spelled a different way. I could be Don, Donald, Donnie, I.E., Donnie with a Y, but it's still me. Once Nero died, the whole idea of Antichrist died with them. He was the Antichrist because he persecuted them. In this day and age, everybody is brother and sister they call the Antichrist. Hitler was the Antichrist, you know. Obama was the Antichrist. Maybe you, I don't know. So we'll straighten that out. There's nothing outside of the Christ consciousness that was in Jesus that's inside of you. That is an aspect of God. Infinite intelligence. Okay? So, people will ask, and I've been asked many times over the years, do spiritualists believe in God? We say, well, infinite intelligence. That's what we call God, yes. I suspect most, if not all, spiritualists believe in God. I think there might be one or two that don't. Again, they have free will on that. We believe in infinite intelligence starts the whole thing for us. Everything stems from that. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. Don, do you believe in God? Well, depends who's asking me. Here in the Bible Belt, where we're at Target, these people, they're setting me up. I'll explain that in a minute. Don, do you believe in God? Depends who's asking me. Yeah, sure I do. Well, I might look at it more like Carl Jung, great Swiss psychiatrist from years ago. On his deathbed, he was asked, Carl, do you believe in God? He said, no, I know God. Believing and knowing are two different things. And again, a trip to India, and you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's a knowing. It is a knowing of God. So I say, yes, I believe in God. But then again, someone else could ask me, Don, do you believe in God? I might say no. I probably don't believe in the God you believe in. Right? You know the vengeful God from the Old Testament in different scriptures around the world? Him? No, I don't believe in your God. So God is a funny thing. It's a funny three-letter word. That means different things to different people. Whole traditions, whole countries, whole religions will fight over the true name of God, the true nature of God. And it's still fighting today. It's been going on thousands of years. So we stick with infinite intelligence. That's the only choice that we have.
Is it an intelligence with intent?
Of intent?
Yeah.
Well, I would say so, because the infinite aspect of God had to intend. So let me put it this way. A dear, dear friend of mine passed away a few years ago. One of my early informal teachers said, we are all thought forms in the mind of God. That's the best way for me to say it. See, God doesn't think. He is thought itself. Thought itself. He, if you will, it dreams creation into existence. Best way to put it. And now we're stuck in the dream. So a lot of people say, and one famous author on the internet and out there says, awaken to the dream. No, awaken from the dream. I say awaken to the dream. First you have to understand this is not real. Okay, there's a reality beyond this. That's for darn sure. But that's a talk for another time, otherwise we'll be here all day. So, where were we? Okay, now, this idea of principle. We believe in infinite intelligence, period. If you start adding to that, you could be in big trouble. Now, I have to say, about 20 years ago, give or take a year, I'm bad at years, I don't know. Something happened we need to address. These 9 principles cannot be changed by Board of Trustees direction. The board meets twice a month to do the business of the camp, of the organization. No one on the board can say, I make a motion that we change number whatever. Can't be done. The only way that these are changed, these 9 principles, is at the annual meeting, the last Saturday of March every year. Then it has to be voted on by the entire membership. Doesn't happen often. In fact, probably the last change was number 9. It used to read, we affirm that the precepts of prophecy contained in the Bible is a divine attribute proven through mediumship. By vote of the entire membership, I don't know the year, they added healing. We affirm the precepts of prophecy and healing contained in the Bible are divine attributes proven through mediumship. And there are people who want to leave the word Bible out. They have a problem with Bible. However, the only place in God's universe you're going to find prophecy and healing in one place is Corinthians chapter 12. So you can't take out what our mothers and fathers in this, what they meant. So you just can't change it.
Pick and choose.
Yeah. Someone wants to change it, and I made a phone call, said you got to change it back. Can't do that. So about 20 years ago at the annual meeting, there was a motion to do this. To change number 1. We believe in infinite intelligence / God. And a lot of people go, oh, that's nice, we can do that. I like that. One person after another stood at this lectern, was over there facing this way. Yes, I'll vote for that. And I like infinite intelligence / God. Until the troublemaker here got up. Wait a minute, stop. You can't add anything to infinity. Infinite. You can't do that. Can't be done. Infinite intelligence is what our forefathers and mothers meant. If they wanted God, they would have put it in. Besides, why are we putting God in the first principle so that, like I said, people come in and go, oh, you must believe in our God, the vengeful one, the one we should fear. Why are we bowing down to the people out there? The motion got voted down. We have to be very careful with the wording of these things. Again, first part of my college was an English major. Wording's important. As I said before, every tradition, every religion, sometimes in some countries from village to village, their concept of God, their wording of God can be different. Now we say, right now there's a big thing, people talk about oneness. Everything is oneness, right? Everywhere you look now, we are all one. The great masters over the centuries have not used that term. They use the word not two. That hits the brain a little differently, I think. You can't have two. You can't have Antichrist. You can't have Satan or Satan. Not two. If you have two, that means you don't have one, and you're already off base. They already got a problem. And there are people, well then they say, well, how about some traditions have something called a Trinity? Oh, and people, they just get all crazy of that. Those Christians, those guys, Catholics, they have 3 gods. No. No. Let me put it like this. I am me. I'm also a husband. I'm also a son. I'm also a brother. I'm also a teacher. I'm also a friend. How many there are me? One. But I can take different aspects of me, same as God. In fact, those people talk to Trinity usually talk Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah.
That's not even the original. You know the original. From the Hindu tradition, which I won't get into, but the original creation is 1, 3, 7, 12. 1. Okay, 1, everything. Which manifests in 3 different ways. We call it Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. You don't need to know that. But it's 3 aspects of the 1. So this idea of God, in some ways, is pretty simple. In some ways, you can spend the rest of your life studying it. It just goes on and on and on. I try not to use the word belief. Why? Beliefs come and go. In my lifetime, for me, my beliefs have changed daily sometimes. My beliefs now are anywhere close to what they were when I was a young man. Well, I'm still kind of young, kind of. When I was a younger man. How's that? The idea is not to fall into belief. The idea is to know. I've used this recently in some other talks I've given. To know comes from the Greek word nous, N-O-U-S, nous. It means knowledge. Nous gives way to the term gnosis, G-N-O-S-I-S, gnosis. That gives way to the word Gnostic, G-N-O-S-T-I-C. If you put an A in front of it, it's the opposite, agnostic. Becomes agnostic. Gnostic groups, numerous ones throughout history and mostly in Europe, all by different names, but they're Gnostics. That means that they have knowledge of God or striving for direct knowledge of God. Sound familiar? The traditional religions hate the Gnostics because the Gnostics don't care about ritual and ceremony. Let's say the Christian or Catholic Gnostics, they don't care about the virgin birth and nativity, the crucifixion. They want to know God. They're not interested in the hierarchy. Yes, they have teachers and guides to show them how to do that. Catholic Church was out to destroy Gnostic groups. Initially, they did pretty good. They destroyed the Cathars in southern France. It took them 30 years to kill most of them. They didn't get them all. So the Gnostics went underground, became mystics, because they want to know God, not believe what people tell them about God. That make sense? Now we've got a few minutes now. Is there any questions from people here in the group? Oh my Lord. You didn't have coffee morning, did you? All right, now you got to help me. I can't hear, so speak up. If not, then Ron will help me talk. Let me hear you say. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. If I look in the mirror, am I looking at God because God created man in his own image?
Yes.
Kind of, sort of.
Yes. But if you're looking at a worm, if you're looking at a tree, if you're looking at a fish, if you're looking at a star, you're looking at God's work too. That idea of image isn't a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, a face. That's the wrong image. It's the divinity of God is the image that you were created in. A soul. Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So, in other words, we say Is a spark significantly different in nature than the fire?
Yes.
No. Is a drop of water from the ocean significantly different in nature than the ocean itself? No. That's the image we're talking about.
I'm going to go back to my original question to you about intent. So, if I grew up in an environment where the understanding was that God turns the dials and makes stuff happen, and then in my current, where I am in this version of me today, I am that I turn the dials and make stuff happen through the power of the infinite. So
I would have to politely disagree with that.
Okay.
You don't turn dials.
Does God turn dials?
In the Bhagavad Gita, where God is symbolized as Lord Krishna, and he's instructing Arjuna, and he tells Arjuna, you are not the doer. God, through the Holy Spirit, is working through you. You think you're doing it, but there's something inside of you that is moving those buttons, turning those dials. A corpse can't do it. There's something inside of you, that spark of the divine that manifests as, well, here goes, as the breath. The breath is the divine spirit of God, and the intelligence that is inside of you is a godly intelligence. This is why people say, I have free will. I say, no, you don't. I'm tired of these New Age teachers that tell us over and over and over we have free will. The only free will we have is whether you go with the plan or you don't. Back to number 7 principle. Let me give an example of what I mean about free will. Okay? I'm sick. I have diseases. You think that was my free will? You think, oh, I think I'll have this chronic disease. No, it's part of my karma. So let's say today, being a Sunday, this is hypothetical, so I don't know if the theaters are open. Let's say at 2 o'clock I want to go see a movie at the local theater. That's my will. I will that. I want it. I'm going to go see this movie with my wife at 2 o'clock. That's my intent. So we get to the movie theater, the box office, and I said, 2 tickets, please, for this movie. They said, no, you can't see the movie. It got caught up in the storm in Chicago. You're not going to see it today. What happened to my free will? I demand to see that movie. I'm tell universe I'm going to see it. They go, no. There's a divine plan, and it's not the same as your plan. You want to hear God laugh? Tell him you got a plan. Right? It worked like that. So you go with the flow. The flow is the divine plan. So what do I tell people?
We have no influence on that. And we have no influence on that as an individual spirit?
I don't think so. No, the influence is whether you go with it or not. You don't. I'm not going to see that movie no matter what. I can't will my disease to go away. I have no control over that. I don't. The free will you have is not my will, Lord, but thine be done. I'll follow your will because mine is going to get me nowhere. Jails are full of those people. Sorry. You don't have as much as you think. But when you tie into the divine plan, when you recognize the God within, it flows through you. I call it channeling God. Channeling the God within. I don't mean this kind of channeling. I mean, where'd he go? His shirt. He left her. You go. And the shirt said, just be a kind human. Now you're in the image and likeness of God. So I hate to burst your bubble, but I do that a lot. I'm afraid. John, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was thinking, I used to have prostate cancer, so I prayed about it. Then I had 39 radiation treatments. So I was wondering which one cured it.
Yes. These things happen. I wonder how many people have the same thing, do what you did, and get no results. It's all part of karma, John. All part of karma.
But I always hope that God killed him and not the 39 radiation treatments.
I'm kind of on his side a little bit with this one.
You got to take the match down for a minute.
Okay, I'm kind of on his side with on this one for a little because, in the sense of choice, as I decide to come to this ethereal plane, I've made choices on people from the other side that I've intended to meet, see. Like I said, I'm going to meet Don Zanghi.
I'm
And
so
that's-
sorry to tell you that's not true.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I hope this makes sense to you. Anything I say, you guys know, has to make sense. Okay? When you're in the astral plane and you're about to be born, there is no you to make a choice. That part of the brain, that part of the mind that makes choices does not yet exist.
Okay.
Okay? You take some poor child, born with all kinds of diseases in the middle of Africa, doesn't live but 10 days. You think that child said, oh, this is a great idea, I think I'll do this? No. How about people go, they tell me I chose my parents. I don't think so. We don't get along. You don't choose your parents. But I will explain it to you, and hopefully it makes sense. It's not based on the choices that you make. It's based on the choices that you previously made. And so the time and the place and the circumstances of your birth is programmed into your soul before you're born, based on the previous choices. This way, the soul has the opportunity to be with the people they need to be with, the time and the place. This is why astrology is so important. So therefore, the lesson is do what you're supposed to do now, so in case you believe in reincarnation, the next birth will be good. I'm really tired of these teachers that say, oh, you make choices. There's no part of you that can make that choice. If you had choices, why didn't you choose to be very rich, live to be 100 years old, all kinds of nice things, perfect health? You didn't choose that because you couldn't. Sorry. God has a plan, and we have to go with it. And it's played out by the things I've been talking about. You're not the doer, you're the result of what you've already done. Now that I've upset everybody, and then the questions. I'm good at that, aren't I? You know that. Any questions? These?
Would you consider in the Bible, Revelation, do you think that is prophecy?
Revelation?
Yes.
No, I don't. The problem with the Book of Revelations or the Apocalypse is simply making things revealed in such deep symbolic meaning that the average, even Bible person, can't possibly understand it. One of two things. People say, whoever wrote Revelations must have been on drugs, because it makes no sense at first reading. So those who have a higher consciousness can look at it and go, oh, I know what that means. And there's very deep teachings in there. But it's not the kind of prophecy that is going to happen in the future. No, I don't believe that at all. Those who have studied it from an esoteric point of view can pick out the symbology of what's going on.
All symbology.
It's all symbology. It's all symbols. But unless you know how to read the symbols, you're going to mess it up. And people will mess it up for you, trust me. They'll really get the fear in there with that. But it's not meant for that. No. You know, Bible interpretation is, how much time do I have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10.
Good. I'll do a whole life's teaching in 10 minutes here. Virtually all of the Bible, particularly the Old Testament, but much of the New Testament, is symbolic. Jesus talked in parables. Master, why do you talk in parables all the time? He said, well, those people out there, they need to get a pretty basic understanding, you know, bring it down to what they can understand. Stories. That's why kids like fairy tales. Gets the point across, they can understand it. But he said, to you guys, I'll give you the keys to the kingdom. And we know what that is. Oh, about why do I tell parables? Let me tell you a story about that. And he rattles off 17 parables right in a row. Book of Matthew. Why would Jesus say something like, you should be wise as the serpents? I worked professionally with snakes in my younger days. They ain't smart. There ain't no smart snakes. They got a reptilian brain you can barely see. Now the serpents, that's a different story altogether. There's strong evidence, whether you believe it or not, it's up to you, that Jesus spent a good part of his 18 mission years in India studying with the serpent yogis. The Kundalini yogis. Kundalini means serpent. That's what he meant. But unless you know what I'm saying, you should be as wise as the serpents. Oh, okay, let's go have lunch. No. You have to understand what he's saying. The Old Testament. Remember Jorge George from, one time coming back from the ashram, we had him in the back seat. He goes, hey, Don, you ever hear this one from the Old Testament? And the Lord said to Moses, get yourself a pole and get some snakes and put them on top of the pole and burn them. And those who come and get bit by the snake will live forever. Does that make any sense to anybody here except maybe you guys? Does that make any sense at all? However, if you look at the caduceus, if you look at what that is, and the medical profession stole that from the metaphysical people, that the pole with the snakes on top is the etheric spinal cord, because it comes up through the chakras here, and when you're enlightened, it's like fire. The Kundalini serpent energy here, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense, but unless you know what I'm talking about, you're going, what in the world are they talking about? Go out and start your own religion. Get a bunch of poles of those. You can find snakes in Florida, I guarantee you that. Start your own religion. It's in the Bible. No, you have to understand what's being said. And most people don't understand it. I hope it helps. I should talk a little bit about prophecy since you brought it up. I got 2 minutes maybe? 5 minutes, good. I can do more damage in 5 minutes than I can do in 2. Earlier I said the only place you're going to find healing and prophecy in the Bible is Corinthians chapter 12. And the gifts of the Holy Spirit are 9. One of them is prophecy. If you are baptized in the Holy Spirit and you receive the gift of prophecy, that doesn't make you a prophet. You're not going to be Moses or Jeremiah or Daniel or Isaiah. That's the office of the prophet. They came to the people throughout history to clarify these things. Lead the people. But the gift of prophecy is not a whole lot different than if Jerry or me or somebody stood up and gave a message. at the message service. The only difference is this, okay? If I stand up and give you a message, it's for you. He might go, oh, I understand that too, but it's for you. In the prophecy, the words of wisdom or words of power, it's a message for everybody. An interpretation of something. Not necessarily in the future. These people don't understand these things. Time for one more question. I haven't done all the damage yet.
You seem to be touching base on a lot of things I've been talking about.
Talk louder.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You've been talking about a lot of things that I've been talking about the past couple of months. I think pretty much almost everything I've been talking about. Frequency. I feel like that's a question I should ask. I kept feeling like there's something about frequency to God.
I missed that last part.
Frequency to God. Like some kind of frequency. I just had a curious question about
The frequency of God?
I don't know what that word means. I figured I'd ask you.
Okay. Here we go. John chapter 1 verse 1. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word is God. If you find that word, you found God. That word is not something you can say. It is the power of the divine manifesting, and it's in each and every one of us. But it's hidden in most of us. Well, that's a Bible stuff, chapter 1, verse 1. John. Who wrote John? Let's go a couple thousand years before, and let's go to the Vedas. What's the oldest one? The oldest, can't think of it right now. Here's the wording from the Vedas a couple thousand years before that. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You see, they knew thousands of years before that this divine sound, which cannot be heard with your ears, but it created everything. Years ago, down in the temple, long time ago, and a Sunday lecture was called God is Sound. And everything I said, going back looking, I was accurate in everything I said, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was right. Now I know why.
Vibration is frequency.
Yeah, vibration frequency. Now, you said I brought up a lot of things you've been thinking about. I was supposed to meet one of my students today who had a lot of questions. But after Thursday class, she said, you answered all my questions in class, which happens a lot. So I hope this was helpful. My time is up.
Let me ask one more question.
Go ahead.
So one way that we could, because I'm not an absolutist in any of this, but one way that we could look at the word of knowledge, when someone gets a word of knowledge, is that it's a knowing from God. It is that unspoken, vibrational, just knowing from God.
Knowing.
Not a specific verbal
yes.
word.
Again, that knowing is it intellectual? Over the temple of Apollo in Greece, it says, man, know thyself. Okay? But nobody finishes it. Man, know thyself, and you shall know God. Okay? I thank you for your time, putting up with me, and appreciate your attendance. Thank you.